a strong reason why I decided to come out, right, is precisely because I've gone through that phase. I felt safe and secure enough to step up and represent, because there's very few positive representation for our community in Singapore, right? So I don't want people to keep thinking that, oh, gay people are the same, they live a certain lifestyle. But actually, I'm just pretty much like your girl next door, right?
Okay, welcome to the Financial Coconut live at Pink Dot together with Rise Media. So yeah, we are here finally, right? After so many years, right? Today is the 15th anniversary of Pink Dot. So me, I'm Reggie, aka your Chief Financial Coconut, and I'm joined with
Ilyas Sholihin, Editor-in-Chief for Rise Media, and I'm joined together, very honored to have these guests.
Hi, I'm Tiafin. I'm the lead financial services at Prident.
And I'm William. I'm one of the co-founder of Prident, and I speak mostly about housing policies and issues regarding LGBTQ+.
So what is Prident? Like, what's so interesting about Prident?
So basically, we are a collective of professionals, either in the housing agent representative or legal. And also some of us are actually financial advisors. We came together kind of about 2 years ago during the COVID period, because we are kind of thinking about, what are the things that we can do to serve the community. And we realized that in the market right now, during that period of time, there wasn't a lot of information and resources given to the queer community in educating them about financial issues, about battling themselves and becoming more financially independent. And together with that comes with issues like, buying housing, your insurance planning, your investment, and even your estate planning issues. So those are the things that brought us together when we formed Prident.
Okay, fair. Yeah. So fundamentally, you assume that there is a difference between the heteronormative couple and LGBTQ community, right? In terms of the way of life, the planning that needs to go involved in it, and
definitely
the whole spiel around it, right? So yeah.
Yeah, and unfortunately, the answer is yes. I'll say that our society here in Singapore is structured in a way that kind of put us in a disadvantaged position. Like, I mean, even until like just last year, just being gay itself is illegal, right? So yeah, definitely it's different.
Maybe something that I would like to know is like maybe a little bit of your personal experiences in maybe being from the LGBT community and also being in the financial services community. Like, are there any personal experiences that kind of push you into we should do something, that kind of stuff? Yeah.
I think basically for myself, speaking as a gay person myself, currently I'm already near 50 years old.
No lah, 35
so I have already passed through a couple of property cycles.
Don't like that. I can do. Okay, yeah.
You're very nice.
Okay, thank you. Yeah.
So when I was 35 years old, just like any other Singaporeans, right, the hurdle for us is to cross the first 35 years old before you can buy your first HDB flat. Because not a lot of people are able to afford to buy a private property, to be honest, especially in today's environment. So when I was trying to buy my first flat, I didn't have all this advice given to me. So I made mistakes during that time. I didn't know what to do, and I bought a 3-room flat. But luckily enough,
where was it?
I bought a 3-room flat in Farrer Park. So I realized that maybe after living there for 5 years, I had a boyfriend, and our needs started to change, and I realized that actually the flat wasn't good enough, and we have to upgrade. So I moved into another property, and I bought a 4-room flat. So I'm currently residing around Tiong Bahru area. So
fancy, Tiong Bahru, bicycle to work, all.
I know, right? It's a very queer neighborhood.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Wait, is it the new BTO flats, or is it the old, very old?
No, the
Tiong Bahru market one. I love that.
Yes,
I love
I
Tiong Bahru
actually
market.
bought into BTO flats behind because for some strategic reason as well. But I think these are things that I learned along the way. And when I started, doing Prident, I started penning down all these thoughts and things that I learned, because before that I wasn't a real estate agent, but I learned along the way and started putting together a lot of all these formulas and strategies together to help the queer communities.
Nice. So you were saying about mistakes, but what is a mistake? Like, why is 3-room flat? Because I think that there was a little bit of a part of the story where you say, 3-room flat. Luckily, I managed to.
I think the thing is not just mistake, but also the challenges that we have as queer people trying to buy a property. Because a lot of people will just think that, okay, you just buy a flat, coming into a flat and think that is a forever home. And I meet a lot of LGBT youngsters these days telling me that, I want to buy a flat. And when I bought a flat, I thought this is going to be my forever home as well. But it's only, a couple of years down the road, you realize that your financial situation change, your career and lifestyle changes. you realize that you actually need to progress. You can't just think that, buying a flat at 35 years is going to last you until you pass away. It's a good 50 or 60 years away from you.
But that is not unique to LGBTQ community, right? Like, I think even the heteronormative couple also have this, like, let's just get a flat forever home. This idea, right? It's not unique in that sense, right?
I think they have a lot more when it comes to
hetero, is it?
Yeah, with a hetero couple, there's a lot more life planning ahead. For a LGBT person, we just live our life. We don't have very clear milestones in life. And I think JP will agree with me. There is clear milestones in life. You have married, you have children. A lot of people move houses because of children. They need to get near to a primary school for children. They move. They will think about structuring their property in such a way that they buy two property later on in life. But for a lot of queer people, they just think, okay, I just need a flat, what? But they don't know how to make their flat work for them.
I think the purpose is probably different. As with like every individual, it'll be quite different. But I think for the LGBTQ plus community, right? Like when William spoke about milestones, yeah, I think the milestones that we go through compared to a heteronormative person is really very different. I'd say like probably like a gay person in Singapore, I probably spend a good 10 years of my life like struggling with my own sexuality. So that's like a milestone that I have to go through that like a straight person doesn't have to go through. Like when do I come out to my parents? Who do I come out to at work with my friends? I have to selectively like do this. It was kind of like a process for me. A strong reason why I decided to come out, right, is precisely because I've gone through that phase. I felt safe and secure enough to step up and represent because there's very few positive representation for our community in Singapore, right? So I don't want people to keep thinking that, oh, gay people are the same, they live a certain lifestyle. But actually, I'm just pretty much like your girl next door, right? Yeah, so for me, I recognize that I have that privilege where, my friends are acceptive, but I'm self-employed. So my work, it doesn't really have that glass ceiling. If I get to emphasize, actually, it was a bit of a conscious choice to go self-employed, right? Rather than have a boss. And then with my parents, eventually I came out to them. They were disappointed at the beginning. In fact, my mom told me that, don't live together with us, with your partner, because my partner is foreigner. But I felt safe enough and secure enough to, be there to represent the community. And because of my work, the best angle that I can come in is to, share what I know from my work, like how to plan properly financially as an LGBTQ plus person. Because unfortunately, like such information is not readily available. I have to thank William for setting up Prident because it gave a perfect platform for LGBTQ plus individuals to access. So then they can get more information on, how to navigate life, at the very least in the financial aspect, which I think in the context of Singapore, I'm sorry, because there's that whole intersectionality thing, right?
Well, big words, today a lot of big words. Intersection. No. I roll eyes when I hear this word, but yes, please go.
But the thing is, once you can get past like your survival stage, right? Then that's when you have to start planning financially, right? And I would say like being in Singapore, that's a huge thing. Once you have the financial means, you'll be able to overcome a lot of obstacles.
Yeah. Can you help us understand a little bit, right? As a member of the LGBTQ community, like how is it so different from a financial planning aspect? I mean, I understand the kind of like, 10 years, you struggle with your identity and all that, but how does that then translate to the difference in how the community should look at their finances and think about it? How are the milestones different then?
The very first thing is that what are the milestones in life, right? For me, it's a very conscious decision. What I want to achieve in life. And then typically we look at, what we want to do. Maybe if we have a partner, then what do we want to plan with our partners? And then like career-wise, what do I want to do? When do I want to retire? Even at work, retirement, right? It's quite scary for the community because it's like when people retire, they have like a partner, they travel overseas or something, they have grandchildren to play with, that sort of stuff, right? I look after my grandkids. But for us, it's like, how does retirement look like? It's such a, like far away.
It's so very far away.
That a lot of us just being in the moment when you're still struggling with other issues, it's something that I would say our community does neglect a bit. So maybe you don't allocate the right amount of resources into planning for your retirement. Okay, one thing that I like to kind of get the community excited over is that, in the future, who knows, maybe we can have like a gay retirement house. If you're alone by yourself, and then you can work towards that, right? There's still something to look forward to, save up for, rather than just, not knowing what's going to happen in the future. So that's one thing. And then along the way, having children, that's a very conscious thing to decide. Like, it's very purposeful. Unfortunately, because of the change in adoption laws, right, it will probably be very difficult for two men to have children. Yeah, because they can only adopt. With the changes in the Adoption Act.
What has changed actually? Can you share with us?
So basically, they explicitly said that only straight couples can adopt. So if you're like same-sex couple, right, you cannot adopt. And then as an individual, although men as a single person can adopt, they can only adopt girls. But then now they tightened the act to say that, okay, before you can even adopt, right, they're gonna do a thorough check to make sure that this person is fit to be a parent to their child. So of course, in a way, right, it's a bit subjective whether you're a fit parent or not. So that already makes it a lot more difficult for a single male person to adopt a child.
Hey, welcome to the Financial Coconut Podcast Network. I'm your host, Reggie, aka your Chief Financial Coconut. And if you're loving what we're creating here, like, share, subscribe, share with your loved ones, comment in the comment section below. And yeah, we'll see you for great content on Chills with TFC.
Maybe I want to speak a little bit because Rise Media actually did a story on the story of Collie and Ching. So these are two lesbian couple who's trying to raise a family in Singapore. And it kind of goes against whatever society thinks of gay couples in Singapore, right? They ruin families and all that. But here are these two gorgeous women trying to raise a family in Singapore with biological child and everything. But the thing is, the system is just not really allowing that for them to have that nice family, and they are just not very flexible on the family unit kind of things. So the thing I guess I wanted to ask is whether on the housing part, does it really affect a lot of the LGBT community in terms of trying to raise a family on maybe under the personal savings kind of side? Because from what we've interviewed with Ching is because they have the privilege to actually raise a family in Singapore, because both of them are kind of having a good independent career in Singapore. Does this kind of change the dynamics for the other lower income groups, that kind of stuff? Yeah.
I think the very first thing, right, is once you have the child is going to be an illegitimate child. So the very first step is you need to adopt your own child, your own biological child.
This is IVF, the whole surrogacy, how IVF thing, is it?
Yeah,
Okay,
correct.
okay.
So yeah, even though basically the child went through your birth canal, you still have to adopt your own child. Yeah, that's already one thing that straight people don't have to do, right? Unless it's a unique situation, but yeah, typically straight people don't have to adopt their own child. And because of the adoption laws in place, only one parent will be recognized as the legal guardian of the child, which means that the other parent will have no legal rights to the kid. So, but the most immediate problem will be that you're basically raising the child in the eyes of the law, right, as a single parent. And then as a single parent, you know how there are less reliefs and rebates available. So that's already one huge disadvantage, right? And then you also have to worry about, what if one day I pass away, or if both me and my partner pass away, then what's going to happen to the child? And the other parent not having any legal rights to the kid means that if, let's say, I'm the biological mother, right, I adopted the child, I pass away, if I don't leave any instructions behind, right, then basically my partner and my child, they don't have any legal ties at all, and my partner cannot look after my child. So those things need to be stated in a will, who's going to be the legal guardian of my child and all that.
Fair.
So some practicalities involved.
Yeah, I get it. So that's when a lot of the will planning comes in, as a protection on the situation, because there's no structural legal rights to pass down that kind of thing, right? Which is a very normative.
William, have you seen any of these cases before?
In terms of couples trying to raise a family, I think when it comes to property wise, less so much so if you're in a private property segment, because private is really free for all. You can do a lot of different
3, 4, 5, 6 people also can own one house together, right? Yes.
But there's technically a formula how to do it.
Okay.
But all in all, the relationship wise, you don't have to prove so much things. But when you come to buying an HDB or forming a family unit, the housing policy in Singapore is very, very strict, right? There's just only a couple of schemes that you can apply a property together. So I think for family unit, they have a public scheme where a parent can buy a property together with child's name. But if the child is not, legalized, I don't know how they're going to actually acknowledge that relationship. The other way obviously will be a fiancé scheme where a straight couple go ROM, they can buy a property together and they enjoy a whole stream of grants. But when it comes to single or LGBT people, the scheme is very strict. It's basically a single scheme or a joint single scheme. And those come with that law of, only coming in at 35 years old. You get half the grant that, heterosexual get. And obviously, when it comes to the options that's available, you only have very limited option you want to buy directly from HDB. If not, you just have to go to the resale market. So the whole strict policies on how family units are being formed actually governs how we can buy property and raise family in that environment.
Yeah, fair. I think in Singapore, the housing part, right, is a bit tighter, right? In a sense that, if you already can financially afford the private housing, then that's a different discussion altogether, right?
Yes,
because
that's a
that one is the
privileged few
atas
who can
discussion,
do that,
right? That
yes.
one got a lot of pattern, we can do a lot of things, right? But for the HDB front, it's a bit strict, there's nothing much. But I think in the financial planning space, there are a lot of nuance, right? Whether is it when it comes to will, whether is it come to like beneficiary, denoting a lot of these things, there's some things to think about, right?
Yeah, definitely. I'm actually also estate and succession planner. So that's why I can comment a little bit more on like estate planning for LGBTQ plus individuals. But as a LGBTQ plus individual, we tend to fall into vicious cycles more easily, right? Along with other life problems we face with, right? But one common one that I see is when we come out to our parents and then the parents are like, you get out of my house right now.
Is it still common today?
Yeah, unfortunately, yes. I just heard one such story just yesterday only. Yeah, like the parents can't wait to get rid of the child, like get out of the house. So if your parents ask you to move out, and whether you're financially independent, stable already or not, I mean, worst is if you're not, right? Then you end up being in this vicious cycle. I mean, what's the next thing you can do? Like, okay, maybe I think most people, the first option is to rent a place, because I think we're still quite Asian. Sometimes we don't like just want to ask for handouts, right? So, okay, I try to rent for as long as possible that I can. But then it means that the money that you put into your rental, it eats into the down payment for your property. So then private housing is basically kind of like, you just threw that out the window because all your down payment that could potentially go into buying a private property such that you have a property that you can call your own before age 35. That's not a feasible solution anymore. So then you just keep renting, and then at some point you're going to realize that your dream of owning a property just gets further and further away from you.
You feel that, so someone's, I guess, like financial goals, like you can't really like reach it if you are forced to like rent like from the early age when you come out from with parents and all that. Yeah.
For sure. It definitely makes it more challenging.
One important question is about family planning, right? Is the whole idea that like what you were talking about, like the whole adopting, everything. Actually, I'm quite curious, like what is the cost of it? How much does it cost to actually get it done from like start to end?
Start to hell.
Yeah, like from the idea and then all the way, the testing, treatment, everything. Do you have a number that people can think about?
It's very expensive.
Yeah, that's why I want to know, like, what's the number? Like, how much does it cost to have a kid?
Well, maybe not.
She hasn't gone through it herself yet.
No. Because I have parents who tell me that, the kid, if they want to go to uni or whatever, they just go and loan from the bank. And then I also have parents who set aside like $500,000 just for one kid to go overseas to study. So that's why I say that, okay, that figure can vary quite a bit. But I'll say like, probably if you want to raise a kid like comfortably, maybe I just go by like can I just go by like a joint income kind of thing?
Yeah.
I think it's comfortably, right? I think around 15K joint income per month will be like a comfortable amount to raise a kid in Singapore.
But actually getting the kid,
Actually getting the kid, that
idea
itself,
to the kid popping out in front of you, how much will that cost?
Yeah, so if you want to go through that cycle itself,
Yes.
right? Like one IVF cycle, right, is already about $20,000.
20,000.
Yeah, and there's no guarantee that you will.
Okay.
Yeah, it will be successful.
Okay. So that's only the IVF portion.
Yes, correct.
Okay,
So
yeah.
if you add everything up, yes. That's why, for me, right, if a same-sex couple decides to have a child, it is very purposeful. It is very conscious. Like, why would I go through all that to like give birth to this baby and then not take good care of it and not want the best for the child? Yeah.
So then from the insurance front, like from the medical insurance front, are there certain things that like I pay the same kind of premium, but the straight guys will get this coverage and then I don't get certain things because of blah, blah, blah?
I'll say nothing too glaring, but maybe talking about planning to have children as a same-sex couple, there's this thing called prenatal insurance. So basically, it is to protect the mummy and the fetus Yeah, even before the child is born. So that in case anything happens to the child when the child is born, then some medical expenses will be taken care of. And one very big thing that is more important than, I mean, in my opinion, that is more important than, you know, covering for the medical expenses in case the kid is born with certain congenital illnesses or there's some emergency that require medical attention, right, is the ability to purchase a life insurance for the child without any medical underwriting. So this is kind of like a thing for prenatal insurance. But most of the insurance companies, they put a caveat saying that they will not cover fully if the baby is through IVF. And if it's surrogacy, it's a complete like no.
Oh, so surrogacy has no insurance coverage, like
for prenatal, at the beginning, because insurance companies they are not non-profit lah. So for them it's a higher risk per se. So they did caveat to say that they won't cover for surrogacy. IVF they will still offer, but then they will discount your coverage. So then it's kind of like, do I even need this? And then,
Okay, interesting.
Okay, maybe we can wrap up a little bit, talk about, I guess, whether there's any big difference between being from someone from a LGBT community and someone from a heteronormative community in terms of like financial savings or like housing or like career. And I guess like, do you have like a message to like people who are kind of like struggling a little bit in terms of like the financial aspects of it, housing, career, personal savings, retirement, like that stuff?
Okay. I would say, you know, if you're going through a very difficult time right now, trying to get a foothold on your finances, here's my encouragement to you lah. Don't fret about it. Sometimes it's situational and it's not your fault that you're in this position. But try to not look too much at the end result, because every little thing that you do today will contribute to the end result. Yeah, just looking at the end result itself can be quite daunting and scary. But you know, as long as you're doing something, that's good enough already. Yeah, so keep going.
So I'm gonna take it from the housing angle. So basically, I think for people who are out there, especially LGBT community, if you are currently in a situation of, you know, rental, I would suggest that you really think about whether, you know, this rental is a needs or a wants, because, you know, rental can actually prevent you from building up the wealth to be able to buy your property in the future. But I understand that there's a lot of people who probably have no choice but have to move out. So think about, you know, maybe finding friends to, you know, co-rent places together, help you reduce the cost. And for the rest of you who are actually thinking of starting your home planning, you know, really start when you're young, you know, as early as possible. Don't wait until you're 35 years old and then start talking to a housing agent about a property. Because a lot of time when I meet people out there, when I do the calculation for them, you know, they thought that they could get a nice, decent loan, but they do not have enough cash or CPF accumulated. So by that time, it's a little bit too late. They might need to delay their plan. So I would really advise anyone out there, start as early as possible. You know, start talking to a banker. You know, can call LGBT-friendly personnel from Prident or any one of us to guide you through the process.
Yeah. Okay. I let you plug. It's okay. You plug more. I send invoice already. No. But I think at the end, I like what Jepin said. Right, essentially is because there is no clear social markers of like what's the milestones next. So if you don't get that clear, you don't know what to do with finances, right? Because brings back down to what financial planning is really about, right? So yeah, I hope that you find peace in your life and ultimately find a way of life that you love. Okay? Thank you all.
Thank you so much.
Woo!
Thanks.
Yes, thank you guys. Bye.